What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Catching Carbon Pilot Episode 1. I am with Jeff Holyoak. My name is Lana, and we are basically going to be talking about all things CO2. We work in the space. We've been having some interesting conversations with our customer base, with people looking to gather more information as CO2 becomes such a focal point in everything around us. And so we're taking it out of these four walls. We want to bring it into your living room, onto your speaker, and have you be part of the conversation.
What are we going to be talking about?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what we're not going to be talking about. You tell us what we are going to be talking about.
Okay. I'm excited to hear what we're not going to touch on. Jeff he's kind of a hard ass. So
Contrarian.
Oh man, I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. You know, I bring the youthfulness and the excitement. Jeff is going to bring us back to reality because I get too excited. But we're going to be talking about what CO2 is, what the shortcomings are right now with the market, how it impacts you. Just quick background, CO2, although we don't see it often, is used in a variety of applications you touch every day. Food and beverage, water purification, fire suppression, vaccine transportation, most recently here with COVID. And so it's very critical, and we want to talk about how we can secure supply and keep the market moving so we don't have to deal with the repercussions of a shortage.
And by we mean you. So you are the consumer, you're the user of CO2 in your applications. So what we are not going to talk about is a pathway to net zero. You must be in the black before you are in the green, and that is our motto here. Oh. So we are absolutely, we want to save the world and we want to reduce the emissions of CO2. But CO2 is an ingredient. It is an active participation in your operations and critical to your success in business and everything you do, whether it's food processing, beverage, fire suppression, dry ice manufacturing. That's what we're here to talk about, not to say that, we're going to save the world, we're going to capture air from the sky and sequester it underground. That's really what's impacting your business. We're here to talk about the supply side of CO2.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the simple-minded like myself, let's break down that statement. You have to be in the black before you're in the green.
They're colors.
It's deeper.
One's dark. I don't think black's technically a color, but
it's deeper than colors.
No. So basically what we're saying is we all want to have green initiatives, and everybody and every company has a green initiative, and they all sound great as long as they don't cost more than that $1 to your underlying business function. So when we say you got to be in the black to be in the green, we want to make sure it's a profitable venture to be green. So in what we're trying to accomplish with CO2 is how do you capture your own CO2 to secure your supply? You eliminate your emissions. Yes, you get to a net zero for your individual organization, but more importantly, you secure your supply of CO2. So that's really, in the coming episodes, those are some of the aspects that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, no, I love that. And to soften Jeff up a little bit, one of the exciting things of what we do in our business is we do have a positive impact on climate. And so he's spot on. We've had countless conversations where the financials don't make sense. It doesn't get liftoff. But at the end of the day, what we are doing with CO2, we're changing the stigma. It is positively impacting you at home, and we are having just by default an awesome impact on the environment as well. So I can be excited about that.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, I love it.
All right, so some of the things that we're going to discuss in upcoming episodes, and this is just our, as we noted, our pilot episode, so we've got a lot to cover. We're going to keep these into about 10-minute snippets, so they're digestible without having to sit here for 2 hours listening to us ramble on as we do normally during our workday. But if you are in the consumer base of CO2, you now know the word force majeure. You know what allocations mean. You're accustomed to shortages, and you've been shut off from your sources of CO2. Your companies have been there, your business has been shut down, your productivity has been shut down, whether you're a brewery, whether you're a food processor, whether you're a beverage manufacturer or a welding operation, even a McDonald's for example. If you can't get CO2, you can't serve sodas, you can't make beer, you can't produce dry ice. And in the last year and a half, this has become commonplace. And let me just tell you something, it hasn't started yet. If you're in the Southeast or on the East Coast, you're going to see major disruptions starting September 10th. We will cover that in subsequent episodes, but that's who we're here to talk about. So we're here to talk about supply disruptions, alternative sources of supply. If you haven't heard what 45Q is, you're going to hear about it very, very soon. That's an outstanding initiative to reduce CO2 in our atmosphere, but it's impacting your supply of CO2. we've got solutions to all of that we want to talk about. Then there's also purity, contamination, big in the news right now. That's going to be one of our very near episode 3 or episode 4, contamination in the CO2. The price of CO2, I think long term we're going to see an escalation in the cost of CO2 because of all the other reasons that we just talked about. So the sources of CO2 that we are accustomed to today in the United States, they're going away. And we're going to have to replace those with alternative sources, and they're going to be a lot more expensive than what you're accustomed to today. So those are all up for discussion.
Yeah, no, and you can turn your attention to Europe, where they're already starting to source some of these alternative sources. And as they push the legislation on the 45Q, not to get too deep, but we will see a constriction in supply. We want to walk with you on this journey and really help you understand how to navigate, how to source CO2, and how to not be impacted, have your business run effectively, even as we start to see CO2 become less commonplace. It gets sequestered, we pull it out, but we still need it for day to day. I do have to note, one fear I have in listening to you speak is, so now McDonald's, not only is the McFlurry machine going to be out, but the soda machine too.
Could be.
Man,
could be.
They just lost my business. No, we want to prevent that from happening. So that's what we're here to talk about. We are the experts in this space, and we want to educate you as well and kind of shed some light on everything that is going on, make it less scary, and show you how you can actually come out on top.
That was very lowbrow. I mean, going for the ice cream that was simple. We gotta be better than that. Come up with something other than.
I'm connecting with the people. You've been in the drive-through line before. We've all
chicken
experienced
sandwiches.
it. Chicken sandwiches.
When we can't produce chicken.
Say goodbye to chicken sandwiches too. No,
when we can't freeze the ground beef. Things like that. That's where you're going to be disrupted. Yeah. And again, nothing against McDonald's here. That's they're just a component of a big user of the downstream effects of CO2. But the bottom line is the landscape of CO2 is absolutely changing, and Catching Carbon is here to kind of educate you on it, so you have an awareness as a consumer of CO2. And most people don't realize they're consumers of CO2. Everybody in this room, all these people behind us, they're all consumers of CO2. You just don't know it. So we paint CO2 as a negative thing. It's not. So here at Tomco, that's the way we like to look at it, is we want to change the way you think about CO2. It's a positive. It helps in everything we've already noted. What about a grow house? It actually increases the productivity of our food and the efficiency of our food production. So we want to change the way you think about CO2, but also help understand the supply chain that goes along with it.
Yeah, Jeff has coined it really well. Look on the back of an ingredients label and you won't see it, but CO2 certainly is an ingredient in a number of products that is used. And so we need to start thinking about it that way and make sure that we lock this ingredient up and we have a constant supply of pure beverage grade CO2 that we are able to consume.
Yep. Or food grade.
Or food grade.
Or industrial grade.
We're not discriminating on the grades of CO2, but we are going to make sure that you've got options.
You kind of do.
Okay. You know what? And I'm going to see myself out. Welcome to the Jeff Show.
Who's going to do the intros?
Oh, man. I'm here for the intros. I'm here for the...
And the hair. He's got the hair. It's going to be gone in a couple of years, but he's got the hair.
So, anyway, CO2 is stressful. If we don't fix this, I'm going to look like Jeff. So, I've got skin in the game right now. The stakes are high. And
skin, bald. Got it. All right, we beat this to death. Thank you for joining episode 1, pilot episode. Please watch our subsequent episodes and let's learn about all these things. If you have topics you'd like to hear about that we aren't covering, send them in on our notes. Send us an email. Yeah. Contact us any way you find us.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining.
Take care, everyone. We'll talk next time.